All right, that's it. We did it. We're going to call it there. That's a game completed. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. All right, first things first. The bottom center of the screen says that we've beaten 3 games this year. And 450 since we started doing this in 2020. Those numbers are now obsolete. We've now beaten 4 games in 2024. Did I say 2023? Yeah, 2024 and 451 since we started doing this in 2020. All right. So I have a lot to say about this game. I'll try and keep it brief. A lot of good, some very good things and some very bad things. Probably the best thing about this game is the actual combat. The way that the combat is organized and set up is really satisfying. The way that you don't use magic points or mana, it just saps your stamina a certain way. That feels natural. It feels organic. It works well in the context of the game. It's fun to manage. It can be a little bit annoying, but overall it's fun. I like that format, and playing as a mage was definitely the right call. They have some really powerful skills, and I really enjoyed playing as a mage, and I often don't enjoy playing as a mage. I'm more of a sword and shield type of guy, or dual daggers kind of a guy. But the mage was fun. I really enjoyed the combat, the actual battle stuff. Even if I was doing just meaningless crap, killing some dogs on the way to my objective, like I still had fun. I enjoyed the combat. It was satisfying. The gear would have been satisfying if they hadn't broken the game by giving me overpowered gear at the outset. I guess that's part of the Dark Arisen collection or whatever. Did that thing where games just give you a bunch of gear right at the beginning of the game that's OP. I wore the same piece of gear. It was a piece of gear that replaced all pieces of gear. So it was just this one dress that I wore that I never took off the whole game because it was OP. So I hate it when games do that. So definitely points against it for that. But looking for rings, because the rings were the only thing you could wear, as well as the dress, and finding stuff for my teammates, since I couldn't find anything for myself, was fun. I enjoyed that. I thought the way that the gear was done in the game was good. That's really it. But honestly, the combat was so good that it made the game palatable for me, despite several problems. It made the game pretty fun, and I didn't have too much trouble getting toward it until the end. We'll get to that in a second. Problems with this game. We talked about the gear thing. I hate that. I hate when games do that. I can't ignore it if you're going to give me really good gear, but then it's like, well, why are you even offering me gear for the rest of the game if I'm going to wear something that's good for the entire game? So whatever, I hate that. But I didn't give a shit about the story. It seemed kind of cool, but it wasn't enough to win me over to make me care about it. So that's not really a negative thing. It just failed to be a positive thing for me. The lore seems cool. The actual story as the game went on didn't really grab me. But most don't, so that's not really a major knock against the game. Story doesn't usually grab me in video games. The main problems with this game, there's some little like very specific ones, and then some bigger, broader ones. The save system in this game is either broken, or I just haven't figured out how it works. Because it would say, many times, it would say, save successful on the right side of the screen, like the autosave, save successful. And then I would die, and it would take me 20 minutes back after I've seen that save successful 5 or 6 times. That doesn't make any sense. Why would it do that? There were certain things that it just didn't explain well in the UI. Like, what's the difference between retry and retry from last checkpoint? Does it have something to do with autosaves? I have a feeling it might, but it was never clear. I never figured it out. Listen, I've played a lot of video games at this point. I've never been confused by where the last checkpoint is in a game before. Not very often. Why would you give me those two options? It doesn't make any sense to me. The fast travel system in this game is horseshit. In order to be able to fast travel, you have to put something that you have a finite number of, and by finite I mean like 3. Or that's how many I found. These things that you have to put down in the ground so that you can fast travel there later. Well, I don't know if I'm going to have to be back there later or not. I have no idea. So I was only putting down fast travel points when I thought maybe I might be back in this area at some point, and I can only do that 3 times. So I ended up having to retread certain ground. I mean, it's basically like, imagine Fallout 3 playing like that. Which, by the way, don't say that this game is a product of its era because the fast travel is garbage, because Fallout 3 is 4 years older than this game, and the fast travel is magnificent. Imagine playing a game like Fallout 3, where it's a huge map like that, but there's no fast travel unless you go there and then remember and have the wherewithal and the judgment to put something down and say, I might be back here later. So I ended up having to retread ground for literally hours. And it's like, it's not as simple as just walking from one point to another. You cannot walk very far in this game without being ambushed by enemies. And enemies that may not be super hard, but they're no slouches. They require your attention a lot of the time. So it's just, I'd say I spent way less time than the 33 hours it takes to beat this game. I beat it way faster than that. How long to beat says 33 hours for main story only for this game. I probably beat it in less than 20. But over half of that was just walking. And actually that was some of the most fun in the game, but you're not going to win me over with just random encounters, you know? I mean, those were fun. I enjoyed the combat enough that I did enjoy fighting those random encounters. I did. But that was probably the best thing about this game for me. Just fighting randos. We talked about the auto save system, but there was one point that I lost. I reloaded from a checkpoint that I thought was 3 minutes behind me because I got arrested. Oh, we'll talk about that in a second too. And it reloaded from the very beginning of the mission that I had taken an hour and 20 minutes to do. I lost an hour and 20 minutes of progress in this game. That is often enough for me to give up on a game. But I was far enough in this one that I didn't, I guess. And I was still having enough fun at that point. Also, what's the deal with the morality system or the prison system in this game? I got arrested 4 or 5 times, and only one of those times did I know why. I accidentally swung my weapon at one point, and so I immediately got arrested. Which, you know, that's one thing in and of itself, but whatever. At least I understand why. I got arrested, I think, 4 other times. Have no idea why I got arrested. I just walked into a room and some dude was there and said, hey, hold it. And then I just ended up in jail. I have no idea what I did, and the game never explained it. So that system feels broken to me. And then the last thing, the final boss in this fight is one of the worst final bosses I have ever fought in my entire life as a gamer. It took over an hour. It wasn't fun at all. I could not get an attack off. There didn't seem to be any particular weakness that I could exploit. The boss literally had 10 health bars. 11 health bars, technically. And all but one of my attacks did so little damage I couldn't even see the health bar moving. And it had 11 health bars. Most of the damage that was done to the final boss were done by my companions. Oh, the companions are one of the best parts of this game, by the way. The companions are actually really helpful. They give you intuitive pieces of hints and stuff. Their support magic is really good. I love the companions, except when you have to go and revive them. That sucked, but I'll take it for having the companions. They did I think 80% of the damage to the final boss was just my companions and me just going around reviving them. because I had one attack that actually did and it did a ton of damage to the final boss. A ton of damage. It would do a whole health bar worth of damage. But it took 20 seconds to activate. And at second, it seemed like every time at second 19, the boss would just go, like 20 feet away from me, and I'd do that thing where I'd like, oh, I staggered, oh, the ground's shaking. Okay, gotta start the spell over. I don't know what's the answer to that. What's the way to fight this? This is an honest question. How do you fight this boss in a way that's fun? It doesn't seem possible. Did I have the wrong class? Because if I did, that's dumb. There's only 3 main classes in this game. They should all be able to address the final boss. And if it's not that, then what is it? I might have been a little bit underleveled, but I killed all the enemies leading up to that dragon, with the exception of one, with no serious problem. So, what the hell, man? I hated that final encounter. It really kind of soured the whole game. You can tell probably that I have a certain mood right now, that I have a certain tone, a certain vibe, a pretty negative one, a pretty cynical one. I was fine before the final boss. I still had some serious problems with this game, but overall this game was a net positive. Not anymore. That final boss just destroyed this game for me. Fuck this game because of that boss. And it took over an hour of me just charging up an attack, getting staggered, not really taking a lot of damage, but getting staggered, having to start the attack over again, getting staggered, curing myself of something, starting the attack over again, getting staggered, forgetting that my other attacks are garbage and trying one of those again. Oh yeah, attack's garbage. Let's go back to the only other way I can do this. And I did that for like an hour and 15 minutes until he was dead. It was torture. It was torture. Fuck this game. I'm not really a fan. I really, really, really liked the combat in this game until the final boss. And now I kind of hate it. Oh, whatever. It's over. I'm glad it's over, and I'm thankful that it didn't take me that long. I thought this game was going to take a lot longer than it did. Alright, last order of business. Dragon's Dogma. I really hope your sequel addresses some of the major flaws that you have. I've heard nothing but good things about this game. I recognize it's a little dated, but it's not that dated. And there have been a lot of people like, I swear to God, this game is so fucking good. It's like, okay, I get it. The combat's really good. The world is cool. The way that the questing and stuff works is fun. It's cool. But there are so many glaring problems with this game. Anyway, it's been fun. We're now going to delete you from our console and never play you again. Peace.